Hey there, my name is Bread T. Loafington, and I have someone to introduce you to. This is my precious baby boy. His name is Bingus.
Hi, I'm Bingus, and I like to initiate online arguments by provoking...
Alright, that's cute, kid. You get to sit right here.
Oh, okay. I'll just be here then.
Isn't he such a beautiful baby boy?
Fuck you, old man.
For the first time in a while, 2023 was finally the year that I managed to relatively keep up with new game releases. And while I haven't played everything released last year, both in terms of things I had a vested interest in and things I did not, I did manage to get some time to play a couple of the major releases. And since we just watched Baldur's Gate 3 win the Game Awards, which, by the way, fucking hell yeah it did. Either way, I'd like to sit and briefly discuss some of my games of 2023. Bread the Loaf.
Holy shit, title drop!
Y que aquí te ofrecemos, Señor, que la luz de tu gloria la ilumine hacia el paraíso. Acepta este cordero, arrastrando por la furia y el pecado, y acógenos en el paraíso, y en tu seno. Oh Señor, misericordioso, nuestra vida es
I've discussed previously that I've become a big fan of survival horror games like Alone in the Dark, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and various others. And my introduction to it all was Resident Evil 7. And as a result, I've grown to really enjoy the Resident Evil franchise as a whole, with all of its strange, fun little quirks. However, the original Resident Evil 4 was a very fascinating entry in the series. It changed the gameplay from a fixed camera angle with pre-rendered 3D backgrounds to an over-the-shoulder camera with full, real-time 3D environments, with a bunch of QuickTime events to really amplify the new dynamic camera angles.
Anyways, Resident Evil 4 was the introduction to the franchise for a lot of people, and as a result, Resident Evil 4's remake was a very hyped release. After the previous two remakes were practically immediate successes each, it was inevitable that a remake of Resident Evil 4 was going to happen. And it did. In 2023.
The original Resident Evil 4 was the third Resident Evil title that I beat, after playing Resident Evil 7 in 2022, and then Resident Evil Village soon after its release. And I gotta be honest, Resident Evil 7 is pretty much what I think the best Resident Evil game is. However, Resident Evil 4 Remake is a very, incredibly close entry, second in terms of my favorites.
Genuinely, Resident Evil 4 Remake is a perfect example of what a remake should do. It retells the same story while improving the parts of the story that the players didn't like, while keeping the parts that the players did like. For example, the Resident Evil 4 minecart section is kind of annoying and tedious to get through, but in Remake it makes it a lot more engaging and fun to play. However, that's a subjective thing. Same goes with the laboratory section, actually. The remake expanded it and made it fleshed out and more interesting than it was in the original game. It also maintained the best bits from the original, such as Del Lago and all of his fun little interactables. And El Gigante, and just how ridiculous and fun that boss fight is. Especially all of the fun banter between Leon and everyone's favorite little guy, Ramon Salazar.
To have been bestowed with lore settlers.
You talk too much.
Failed. You vulgar, utterly uncivilized mongrel.
The best part about Resident Evil 4 Remake is that they kept the goofiness of the original, and the best line in any video game ever.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Counter-Strike. Everybody loves a good round of Counter-Strike, especially its 2012 follow-up, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a ridiculously popular game that completely fucking destroyed the concept of the online competitive shooter.
Despite the horrible things that Counter-Strike has directly caused to the games industry, it's hard to say that it's not a ridiculously fun game. There's nothing quite like it on the market. It's been topping Steam charts for probably a decade at this point. So, of course, in 2023, Counter-Strike Global Offensive started to look a little bit dated. Even though it's slowly been injected with Source 2 content and systems as trials by Valve. Either way, Valve went and released a next-gen upgrade for Counter-Strike, affectionately calling it Counter-Strike 2, while practically removing all trace of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, except for selecting it under the Beta Participation tab, effectively hidden from players.
Anyways, I think it's suffice to say that I think Valve handled Counter-Strike 2 kinda poorly. From hiding Counter-Strike Go behind menus after menus, to launching the game without many of its really well-loved maps and game modes. I'm not kidding about that, the only game modes available still to this day are Deathmatch and Wingman, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive had way more than just that. But that's not to say it's a horrible update that makes it completely unplayable.
It's remarkably playable. It's my favorite online competitive shooter besides Fortnite. But that shouldn't dissuade you from what I'm about to say. Counter-Strike 2 still feels really remarkably good for what it is. The gunplay feels satisfying, the sound design is super juicy and great, while the graphics are a complete improvement, especially the smoke grenade. Wingman is by far my favorite game mode, even if it can drive my friends batshit insane sometimes. Despite that, Counter-Strike 2 is still a remarkable game that me and my friends enjoy to this day.
Okay, now the dumb, stupid, baby games are out of the way, we can talk about the real manly stuff. You know, high stakes, intense fights, and cartoon slapstick violence.
Party Animals is a party game where animal cruelty doesn't appear to be that awful. In fact, it comes across as being ridiculously funny, absurd, stupid, and otherwise a generally enjoyable time.
No, seriously though, Party Animals was pretty contested on release. The lack of an offline co-op play, microtransactions in a $20 game, a bunch of smaller petty things that I don't think are as severe as some people are making it out to be.
I personally think this game is fantastic. And despite what a lot of initial reviews may have said, the microtransactions are entirely completely optional in this. Not great that they're in there in the first place, but you can still gain the premium currency by playing the game actively. It may take you a while to get anything, but you can do it. So, take it for what you will. Overall, Party Animals is a ridiculously fun time. Alongside Gang Beasts and Human Fall Flat as these kind of dumb but ridiculously fun games. Me and my friends actually have it in our rotation of games to play when we're tired of the usual fodder.
Overall, a really pleasant mid-year release before the spooky season. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the fresh, new installment in the Super Mario Bros. Series after, like, 33 years since the release of Super Mario Bros. 3. The most recent side-scroller Mario since 2019 with new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. And the newest course clear Mario game since 2020 with Bowser's Fury. What a time to be alive.
Despite the noted lack of a new suffix, Mario Bros. Wonder does a lot more new than new ever done did. Wonder basically revamps everything, from gameplay to music to characters to everything, basically. And it's incredible. Wonder shifts aesthetics and gameplay systems constantly, due to the use of the Wonder Seeds, which do whatever fucking thing that's set for the level. You can usually tell what it might be based around keying into whatever might be the common theme in the level. Either way, I sure do love the way that Wonder feels to control. The sounds when you get running, the little drum roll when you ground pound, as well as the various ambience and enemy sounds. It's so cheery and wonderful, and completely contrasting the horrid, nightmarish, traumatizing events that are happening because of Bowser.
All in all, Mario Wonder is genuinely a fantastic entry into the Super Mario Bros. Series. It genuinely changed my opinions about course clear Mario games. I used to really not like them all that much outside of the old NES ones. But Mario Wonder has really warmed me up to the idea of the modern entries. I do love course clear Marios. Not as much as, say, maybe a sandbox Mario, but don't get it twisted, my absolute favorite Mario games are the many Mario role-playing games there are. Speaking of unique and innovative entries involving everyone's favorite Italian plumber, let's talk about Super Mario RPG. At the end of my favorite RPGs video, I briefly mentioned that Super Mario RPG was a pretty hyped release for me and that I was pretty excited to play it. And now that it's been a few months, I can absolutely say that it's definitely lived up to the hype.
Super Mario RPG is a remake of the 1996 classic of the same name, and truthfully, I didn't play the original. I have no nostalgia for it, and so I used the release of the remake to finally play it for the first time. And I must say, what an incredibly good game. The music is completely remastered by the original composer, and it's absolutely fantastic. I've actually added it into the fold of music I use as background music. Upbeat, jazzy, iconic, it's just so good. Even if a certain Blue Robot song remix of the Forest melody is permanently ingrained into my brain. Listen. I'm smart, book smart, I'm not smart, I think more time, more intelligent.
The actual gameplay in of itself is interesting. The off-kilter angle makes jumping a bit of a challenge for me, but besides all that, the typical RPG battle system is as engaging as a Squaresoft-era Squaresoft RPG ever gets. It's a typical turn-based battle system. The player parties attack character per character, and then the enemy's party attacks character per character. Standard play for any classic RPG veteran. Not that I am one, but I've become pretty experienced with it all recently.
Truthfully, it's pretty easy to adapt to if you're coming in from the Mario and Luigi series or the Paper Mario series.
Well, at least the first two.
However, if you've no experience with either of those games, it may take you a bit to adapt to the action commands.
Something else I've seen with Mario RPG is all of the little things that Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi series took from it. Notably, the lovable cast of characters, which all three games share a love for. Mario RPG has a wonderful little cast of critters and creatures, both inspired by the Mushroom Kingdom and whatever the strange brains from Squaresoft came up with.
The absolute penultimate character in the entire game, like it or not, is Starslap. Just look at the little guy, look at him widow dance, hey, it's so cute. Ah, I love it.
I also really do love the general art direction. Everywhere and everyone is so aesthetically appealing. Everywhere is so vibrant and lovely and just neat to look at. It's nice and cozy, to say the least. I've enjoyed this game so much that I've actually added it to the list of games I intend to replay every year or so, which might be a video topic in of itself, who knows at this point. Despite what those dumbass esports streamers say, 2023 was a fantastic year for video games. Not the developers, of course, but video games as a medium saw a lot of ridiculously consistent bangers. Every month had at least one or two massive releases. Anyways, that's all for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Let's blow this popsicle stand.